Is handyman a bad word for business? That's what we're going to be talking about on this episode. There is a lot of, um, there can be a lot of negativity around the word handyman. It's a very common question that we get from prospective clients on sales calls and the Facebook groups, all that stuff. Should I be using the word handyman? Am I going to be viewed negatively? Is it going to be bad for my business if I am associated as a handyman business? Kobe, I'm going to toss it to you, man. As a former handyman contracting business owner, you have firsthand experience with that in the industry, with clients you worked with. What is your experience? What are your thoughts on is handyman a bad word for business?
Yeah, so certainly something we hear all of the time. I hear it super often on our strategy sessions with prospective clients, where people say, "I don't want to be called a handyman. I don't want to identify as a handyman," because they think that people are going to associate them with the chuck in a truck, just kind of the solo fly by night type of handyman, and so I think people assume that that's going to degrade trust with potential homeowners. Uh, we have a lot of evidence that says otherwise, with all the clients we've served across the country and still do, that do call themselves handyman, or handymen. And so in my personal experience, when I first started in the industry as a handyman company, um, you know, I started to I started to find myself, as I was talking to more contractors and other people in the space, kind of feeling like people had, those feelings towards words, those negative feelings, a negative connotation, around the word. So I found myself starting to get away from using that word. And it was funny. I'd find myself after I stopped identifying as a handyman, when people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" I didn't have a good answer for him because handyman is what I was. And it's like, "Oh, I do home improvements and whatever." And they're like, "Oh, so you, like, do remodels?" I'm like, no, I do like small stuff. Like, "Oh, so you're a handyman?" Like, "No, I do home improvements." Like, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, you're a handyman. That's what you are. And I know you're going to talk about this, I'm sure, Jason, but that's what people are looking for as a handyman. When they're searching on Google, they need their TV hung up or drywall patch, some of the smaller stuff that the bigger contractors scoff at or don't want to do. They don't have the time to do, um, which is in your niche. They're searching handyman near me. That's what they're looking for. So
Hmm.
why would you not call yourself what you are? And I also found that stigma around the word existed a lot more in the contracting space and in the trades than it did with actual homeowners. Homeowners
Hmm.
don't think that. It's the salty old carpenters that have been, in the union for 50 years, who kind of think that way, and they impress that upon you. But homeowners, they're looking for a handyman. That's what they're looking for. Um, so I'll kind of let you talk about why it's potentially important or beneficial to identify as a handyman, like as far as marketing goes. But I'd say the biggest takeaway is, at least in my experience, that negative stigma that people think exists, it exists in the contracting space, not in the minds of the people that are actually going to write you a check.
Yeah, I could definitely see, just the messiness of humans of that, like, oh, handyman, they're not a specialist in anything. Like, I'm a licensed general contractor with X number of years in this specific trade, and a handyman thinks he can just do drywall. I've been doing, drywall or whatever the trade is, plumbing, electrical for so many years. So I think that a big part of that is this like pride and protection of like the of that specific trade, because granted, every trade you can go super deep, right? But as a handyman, where the industry really grew out of is that people wanted someone for the small jobs that contractors, it was too small for them to come and swap out a few faucets, right? So, like, it really was spawned from a need. I'm sure, however many years ago, the first handyman, which if you think you're the first handyman, let us know. Um, but the reality is, so the biggest overall thing that I look at, zoomed way out, is we want to be the change that we want to see in the world. And so you can be a chuck in the truck and be viewed as that, or you can show up as a professional with nice lettered, truck, nice uniform, professional sales experience, great customer service, great quality product, 5-star reviews on Google, professional website, you are not going to have that stigma because you are, showing up as a professional. You don't need to look any further than what are all the franchises? Mr. Handyman, Handyman Connection, Ace Handyman Services. Do you think these massive corporations did all their research and thought like, oh, well, handyman's a bad word for business, so let's avoid that? Absolutely not. What they saw is that's what it is. If you are a true handyman business, then that's what you are. You're a handyman, and there's nothing wrong with that. And to further emphasize the argument for if you're a handyman, call yourself a handyman business, not a home repair company or a home improvement company. I do like using home improvement when you're doing lighter renovations, remodels to kind of incorporate that into the consumer mind that home improvement, especially like carpentry, sliding barn doors. It's a good like home improvement, in my opinion, that's directly tied to handyman services. But at the end of the day, people are searching for a handyman. Like you said, with your friend that was asking, well, what do you do? Oh, I do like home improvements and home repairs, maybe some renovations. Oh, so like a handyman. Well, no, like that's what he thought as a consumer. He's thinking a handyman. And the last point I'll make here, and maybe the most important one, alongside that, that's what people are looking for, is that the last numbers that we pulled for strictly searches in Google for handyman near me, this does not include handyman services, handyman Fresno, California, whatever all the appendages are. Strictly handyman near me was searched 246,000 times across the United States in a single month. So it reinforces that handyman is the keyword. It's what people are searching for when someone wants a door repaired or a room painted or some drywall patched. They are looking for a handyman more than they're looking for a specific, ceiling fan replacement service. It's very, very rarely searched. People are looking for a handyman to do those tasks. So you should label yourself as what people are actually searching for and associating with your service. The handyman being a bad word for business is absolutely false. You should operate as a professional, and you'll be viewed that way.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. The last thing I'll say is, if you're in the handyman industry, whether you call yourself a handyman or not, you're in the industry because you know there's a need for the services you offer, the handyman services that you offer. Um, and if you think that negative stigma exists, that there's, it's associated with all the chucking of trucks and fly by night kind of guys, what do you think is going to happen when you're the handyman in your area who's not that, who's reliable, um, clean, punctual, professional handyman service? It's like you are the guy because people need a handyman. And if you think that stigma exists because all the other guys are just a chuck in a truck and you don't want to be associated with them, you can call yourself the same thing and not be associated with them because you just set the new standard for what a professional handyman
Mm.
looks like. So at the end of the day, I think most important thing is you're comfortable with your business name and what it is you do and call yourself. That's probably the most important thing. I would just encourage you to put some thought into like why am I actually shying away from that term? Is it my ego? Is it me trying to impress other people? Like what's the root cause of why I want to stay with that? Because stay away from that because at the end of the day, it's you're not making that decision. You wouldn't be making a prudent decision if you stayed away from the term handyman because you think that it's going to help you with sales and marketing or brand or anything like that because it's doing the opposite.
Yeah, great points there, man. And I want to emphasize one or expand on one thing you said there, which is like being that professional option because in most markets there's not enough. There's an undersupply of professional handyman relative to the high demand. Imagine those your best clients. They want to pay a premium rate for a premium service. They have a nice home. They have a family. They take care of their parents. Whatever the situation is, the home is a sacred place. If your market is crowded with chucks in a truck, which most are, There's a lot of them that are under, getting just charging $30 to $50 an hour, cash or a check, no branding, no nothing. And your best clients, they're not looking for that. They're looking for a professional handyman business that they can feel confident coming into their home, around in this sacred place with kids or whatever, to do the job, do it correctly, be clean, punctual. So there's an opportunity when you embrace being a professional handyman. There's an opportunity to overcome that negative stigma, to really shine as, uh, wow, like I didn't know that that was a thing. Like that's something that I've heard quite a few times from clients of they hear from their clients like, wow, I didn't know like a professional handyman was really a thing. Like I knew about Ace or Mr. Handyman, but it's so cool that there's a local home service, just like a plumber or HVAC company, but they're a professional that can help me with all my, minor home repairs and home improvements.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. So the verdict is that handyman is absolutely not a bad word for business. It is the exact opposite, assuming you are truly a handyman business, where, in my opinion, if you know, you know.